If you ever wanted to host your own World of Warcraft server to play alone, solo, or with friends, or maybe just mess around with some mods, then this is the guide for you, so stick around. In this video, I'll walk you through how to set up AzerothCore on Windows, and we're going to add PlayerBots. And we'll have your server up and running within just a couple of steps. In the description below, you will find a URL to my personal website, which holds all the documentation of everything that I'm showing you here today. So make sure to visit it so you can follow along perfectly. With no further ado, let's get started. Oops. Should turn this off probably. Okay. Come on.
Installing all the requirements. So let's go. I already downloaded all the files beforehand to make things a little bit faster, but still this is a virtual machine, not really too fast, so I'll probably be fast forwarding a lot of it because some installations will take quite a long time, if I recall correctly. We're going to start off with Git for Windows. This one shouldn't take too long. Git is an app that we're going to use to download the repository files for building our server for AzerothCore. Okay, I'm just going to leave these at sure. I'm just going to leave that one also. Sure. This one's important, and it's luckily set by default to the correct option. Not even sure about all these options. Just I'll choose the default. Right. Okay, it's finished. Finish. Second one we'll be doing is boost. And by default, boost wants to install itself onto your C drive, and then a folder name, I believe it's local, and then boost. Oh, obviously you can always change this. Yeah, here. I don't like the name local, so I'm going to replace it with apps. Might place some other apps in there also. So next. Yeah, this is going to copy a lot of files, and I'm going to fast forward it because I know this is going to take a while. Right, that was boost. So next up is CMake. This one. That's a small file, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay, sure. All the defaults are fine here. Alright, that completes CMake. Next up, OpenSSL. This one. And during the installation of OpenSSL, it's again, that's weird. Did I start it twice? I did. Okay, well, let's close this one. During the installation of OpenSSL, it's important that we choose a specific option. And it's this one. So by default, it's set to the Windows default, the Windows system directory, but we need to set it to the OpenSSL directory. And I click next and install. All right, that was OpenSSL. Next one, let's do MySQL. I'm sure typical will be fine, but I'm going to choose custom so I can just see what's happening. So this is the folder it will be in. Okay. Well, I might have chosen typical. Anyways. Okay, it prompts to automatically run the configurator. I think that's a good idea, so I'll do that right now. It will probably allow me to set up some usernames and passwords. Database details. Once that's done, I'll be managing the databases with HiDSQL. I already pre-installed that. I strongly advise you will also install it because it makes managing the databases a lot easier. It's all free, by the way. It's all free software. Okay, welcome to the MySQL server configurator. Next. That's fine. So this will be the data directory. I think I'll go with development computer. That's fine because it will only run these 3 databases. To save some resources, I'll just go with that. Okay, so this is all good by default. Yeah, next. My root password. User accounts. I think I'll add one, especially for AzerothCore. So acore. Sure, dbadmin, why not? Password. I'll make it also acore to make things easier later on. Of course, I strongly advise you not to choose this password, but a very complicated one, and also a different username. Okay, next. Service, yeah, that's what I want. To automatically start it when the system starts, yep. Sure. Nope. Execute. May take a long time. Successfully set up. Alright, next. Finish. So that completes MySQL. That's great. That leaves only one, and there's this thing about the last one because I tried earlier to download all the requirement files that we just installed, and one of the most important ones was this one. And for some reason I was just not able to download it, and I tried several browsers because what we do is we go to free Visual Studio, then the community, free download, and that takes you to a page, and this page does nothing. It says here your downloads will start shortly. If it doesn't begin, click here to retry. Well, you can click until you wait an ounce. That doesn't do anything. Like I said, I tried several browsers. None of them started the download, and I also googled around a little bit. Every other place on the internet where Visual Studio is mentioned will always bring you back to this download page, which doesn't work. So then I thought, hey, maybe it can be downloaded through the Microsoft Store, which I'm not a big fan of, but in this case, maybe I was, because it does offer Visual Studio, and through this I was able to install it, which I already did, so I'm not going to show you. But trust me, it's already installed. There, Visual Studio, the Community Edition. So what you do is go to the store. Well, unless of course you are able to download it from here. Maybe it's a bug, maybe they fix it when you're going to try this. I don't know. Try it out for yourself. If it doesn't work for you either, whatever, just search it here. Yep, Visual Studio. And then you need to choose Visual Studio Community, and as you can see I already installed it, but you will be able to use this button over here to install it. So yeah, once you're installing it, it's very important that during install you choose that you also want to install desktop development with C++. And you get a menu during setup for individual components that you may want to add, and this one is the one we need. So it's also in the documents. Desktop development with C++, and that actually adds another 10 gigabytes of install, while normally Visual Studio is like one gig, and then this C++ thing adds 10 gigs. So yeah, that also takes some time to install, but once you have that, we're all set. Yeah, and we're ready to start building the server. I think we installed them all. Yeah. Oh no, I'm forgetting something. There are two apps that need to be added to your path. What's that, you may ask? Well, I'll show you. We need to go to our environmental this one, I believe, advanced, yeah, environmental variables, that was it. Open that up. Then we need to add Boost and we need to add MySQL. Let's start with MySQL. System variables, I believe. Then there's also path here. Yeah, I need to double click that. Here we're going to add a new one. And then we're going to wait. First we need to search where MySQL exactly is. Program files. MySQL. This one. And then the bin folder. So this one. I'm going to copy that path. And add it like so. And then press OK. And then for Boost. Also, I believe a system variable, not a user. So let's see. We need to make a new entry for this. So not under path, but like this. And that should say Boost root. And then the folder where we installed Boost. And that was in our C drive. And then apps. Boost. So this path needs to be entered there. And then OK again. Yeah, this is perfect. So what this does is it allows the system to easily find files in this folder. Well, I'm actually not sure what Boost root does. Like I said, I have no clue what Boost does in itself. But okay, the path that ensures that the whole system can easily find the MySQL executables without having to enter the entire path. Whatever. If you did this, great. Now we actually need to reboot the machine because those environmental variables that we just set, they not always work without a reboot. So that's what I'll be doing now first. And I see you have some updates also. So let's, yeah, why not install those? That's weird. It's a Windows 10 machine, and I heard that Microsoft stopped updating it, but okay. Okay, I'll be right back once I've started up again. So I've rebooted and we're now ready to start building the server. So what we're going to do is I believe I have a folder on my C drive named Games, and I want to make a subfolder there, for example AzerothCore, and store all the files in there. C drive, Games. Okay, this is empty now. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to open up the command prompt, so cmd to find it easily. I'm going to enter the Games folder and make a folder AzerothCore. AzerothCore. Then I have opened the official documentation here from PlayerBots GitHub, and over there we see that we need a specific build or release. Yeah, here. A branch, I mean, sorry. We need this branch, so we're just going to follow these instructions. The first line, copy it into here. And this works because we installed the Git app in the previous steps. It's actually quite a big repository, so this might take some time. Okay, it's done. So I'm going to cd into this folder and then copy this last line, install. Wait, I also have to go into the folder modules, and in there we're going to clone this repository for the actual PlayerBots add-on. Right, that was quick. We'll need to create a build folder, and I prefer to... What's happening? Build it here. Alright, we're going to look for CMake in our start menu with GUI. And run it. Okay, what we need to do is browse to the source code. Just press this button. And I'm going to point it to this folder where we downloaded the repository. So that's this one. And where do we want to build the binaries? Well, we already created this folder. One folder up, this one. Select. Then we're going to click configure. And then this is only one time, I believe. We'll just pick this one. Here, x64, assuming you're also using x64. And then finish. Then it goes to work. Like I said, then it goes to work, but not really enthusiastically. It's taking its time. Anyways, while this is going on, I want to store my eventual server files once they're built in a folder in here. Let's call it maybe the realm name that you have in your mind. I don't know. Choose whatever you want. WoW SRV. That's what I'm going to choose. So this is the folder where the files eventually will be stored, and I believe we have to set this folder location in here somewhere once this is done. Not even sure if that's required, but I usually do. Now this CMake is looking for all the requirements like MySQL files and probably boost. OpenSSL, all that good stuff. It found boost. I saw some errors here, failed, but I'm not sure if that's even important. We'll see. We'll get some results in this window right here soon. OpenSSL found, alright. Okay, here are the results. And this contains a lot of information and also variables that will determine how our server gets built. And I see one right here that I always adjust because it says here CMake install prefix. This is the folder where your eventual server files will be stored. So I don't want to have it in program files. I just created a folder where I do want to have these. So I'm going to copy the address and paste it in right there. And then I'm going to change these backslashes into forward slashes or the other way around. I always mix those two up. I suppose I'm changing them into forward slashes now. That makes sense. Okay, then just to be sure, I want to build all the tools. Yeah, so tools, instead of none, I'll choose all. Check for any errors. Okay, and then we're going to click configure again. This time it goes a lot faster, and now it's not red anymore. That means everything should be okay. So what we do then is click on the generate button. That goes rather quickly. Okay, it now has generated the files, and what we do then is open the project, and that will automatically open up your Visual Studio. So we're kind of done with CMake at this point. Once you start adding more custom modules, you'll have to do this all over again. Very first thing we need to do once it opened in the Visual Studio is go to Build and Configuration Manager and make sure this is set to, by default I believe it's debug, but we need to set it to this, rel with debug info, and active solution platform should be at x64, assuming you're using Windows 10 or 11. Then we press close, and then in this file tree over here we right click on all build, and then we choose clean, and this will take a second. Okay, and the next step and the final step is to actually build it by right clicking again on all build and then choose build. Mind you, this will take a long time depending on your hardware, of course, and it will take up a lot of CPU resources probably. In the beginning maybe not so much, but yeah, at the end it will be using 100% of your CPU usage probably. Don't worry about it. It does mean that your PC becomes a little bit unresponsive if you want to do other things, so this would be a great moment to go outside and touch some grass. That's what they told me. Anyways, I'll be fast forwarding this because this I think will take at least half an hour on this virtual machine, and I'll get back to you once it's done. Alrighty. So after a long wait, we see that the build process has completed, and that means that we should see these files in our build folder, and then bin, and then this. You should see at least two executables, alt server and world server. Once they're there, you're pretty much set. So what we're going to do is copy these files to where we said the files would eventually be stored, which is this folder. Then we'll need to make copies of the configuration files. That's easily done. And then rename them to allserver.conf. Yes. And worldserver.conf. And in the modules folder, PlayerBots also need to be copied. This is because if we want to compile the server, recompile it later on, these distribution files will get overwritten, but our own configuration files will just stay in place. That's what we want, of course. So the next step is to set up the databases. Remember, we installed in the previous step MySQL, which is a database engine, and we're now going to manage it with HeidiSQL, which you can also download for free. We're going to use it to connect to our local host, because that's where the database engine is running. Set this to 8.4. This is okay. Root, that's exactly the username we used during setup of MySQL, and I entered this password for it. So we're now connected to our local database, which has these databases in it already. And from here it's really easy to add 3 new databases, which we'll need for AzerothCore. Create new database, and I'll call the first one acore, Lich King, auth for authentication. Then another one, acore, Lich King, and that's going to be the world database. And one more, acore, and characters. Okay, these are the 3 databases that AzerothCore will need. Authentication will be used to have people log in and store some character information, which character belongs to what account, such things like that. Characters will contain all the information about the actual characters, and the world database, by far the biggest, will contain everything else. During my SQL setup, I already created a acore account. Here it is. And I see it has global privileges, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to add access to these 3 databases. Okay. So those are set up. Now we need to go to the configuration files. And open them up with Notepad or whatever you have that can open text files. I use Edit Plus because I like Edit Plus. It's quite old, but does the job. No, not that one, this one. Okay. Most important thing here is the database access details, but also some other things. For example, the logs. Let's just start at the beginning. The logs folder is where your log files will be stored. I want those to be stored here, so I'm going to create a folder, logs, and copy that address into here. And then of course, not even sure if I need to change these, but I usually do. Not sure about that. Should try that actually. Anyways, this is the port the authentication server will be running on. Oops. The port, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that by default. 000, that's good. That means it listens on everything. PID file, that's not relevant because we're running on Windows. Wrong password count, you can set this to, I don't know, something you feel is good for you. You can set the source directory if you want, which in our case would be this folder. Gonna try if this works with just leaving those backslashes at their place. Temp folder, well, yeah, let's just create a temp folder. Copy that also. IP location file, well, since I'm not going to invite any other players, I don't care about that much right now, but what this does is you can set the path to a IP location file here that you can download somewhere, and that will translate all the IP addresses to which country people are coming from. I don't care about that much right now. This is the most important part, login database info. So this is the local host, that's good, 3306, that's exactly the port where MySQL is running on. Username acore, that's what I specified. Password I also made acore. And the database for this I made this one. I think that's basically it. Just gonna save that. And open world server, do the same there, but also add those other two database information. Okay. So that's easy. Let's go through the rest of this file because I believe we also need to specify a data folder. Really important. I'll get to that in a second. Let's first do the other ones. Logs folder was this one. Copy that right in there. Build directory. Oh wait. Build, that was this one. Source directory. This one. PID file, nope. Okay, so those are the basics. Let's get back to the data folder. The data folder contains all the files that the server needs to run, that contains the information about the world itself, and you have two options to obtain these. That's either to build them yourself by using the tools that we built earlier. These, map extractor, mmapps generator, and that's a whole process that you can choose to do if you want. It takes a long ass time, really long, but what I prefer to do is just download a preset of files, sorry. And this can also be found through the documentation site of AzerothCore itself, but this is a link directly. Here we can download the data folder. Now it's going into downloads, taking a while. So we're going to wait for that, and I'll be placing it as a subfolder of our server. I'm just going to call that data, just like the Star Trek guy. Okay, so that's where I'll be unzipping my data files later on. Let's just copy the address into our configuration file. Oops. Like so. And those are, I think, the essentials that we need to actually get running. The rest is not really that important. It is important eventually if you want to customize your server and set it more to your hand, but just to get it running, I think we've got it now. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, one more thing. The PlayerBots config, which actually also needs its own database, I believe. Let's just quickly check in the config file. Database, yeah. Okay, all the way at the bottom somewhere. Ah, here it is. Okay, so same thing goes for I still have to make this database, but I'll do that afterwards, of course. Okay, save that. Go back to MySQL, create another database. PlayerBots. Okay, also grant access just to be sure. Full access. It's not required, but okay, to make things easy. Alright, so now we're just waiting for the download to complete, which it has. Okay. Let's unzip this data file. I thought I clicked it, but okay. Wait. Just gonna drag and drop. I'm just gonna do something really quick in between because I'm not actually 100% certain if I used the password acore for the MySQL account for acore, so I'm just gonna try. Yeah, okay, so that's the correct password. Alright. For those who not actually 100% are following what I've been doing, from the configuration files we've set the location and the specified the database details. So when we're going to start the server in a second, we're going to start off by starting the auth server, which was oh wait, I can't click there now, but the first executable in that folder, which is going to start up the authentication part of the server. It's going to autofill the databases, so we don't have to import any SQL files manually ourselves, which is great. That's actually one of the really plus bonus sides of AzerothCore. It does it all automatically, which saves us a lot of hassles. So I'm going to start off by starting this one, and afterwards we can check the contents of the database, this one, which are empty now. They should contain all sorts of information afterwards, so let's go. Oh yeah, this is very important, which I forgot, which we're going to do right now. We're going to need to manually copy some files into this folder because else you get an error, like you saw. So there's a total of 4 files that we need to retrieve from other folders and store them in this location. They're located in the OpenSSL folder and in the MySQL folder. So let's go to those program files, MySQL. Yep, and then the lib folder, this one. From here we need to lib on MySQL. So this one, copy that and paste it in our server folder. Paste. Okay, that's one. The other 3 will retrieve from the OpenSSL folder. That's this one. And I think also lib, yeah. Or no, it was the bin folder. Yeah, these are the ones we need. We need legacy, libcrypto 3, yeah, this one, and libSSL. These. Okay, so these 3, copy them also to the server folder. Paste. Right. Now, when I press all server, it should actually run. Let's see. That looks better. You can see it's applying, importing all the database details, which means we should now, once we refresh, see a lot of data. And that's good because we want to change one thing from the start, and let's go to realm list and then go to this tab, data. Here you can see the name of your realm and its IP addresses. Now you can choose whatever you want for the realm name, but for the IP address, this one, you're going to either pick your local IP address, which I'm going to do, which in my case is, I believe this. I'll check in a second. But if you want other players or friends to connect to your server from the outside, so from the internet, then you're going to need to set this IP address to your external IP address, if that makes sense. Okay. Since I'll be connecting to the server from my other machine, my Windows machine, locally on the same network, I'm going to set this at my local IP address. I believe this one can stay like it is. This is the server port. Also going to leave that by default. So I'm just gonna save that. Maybe change the name. I don't know. PlayerBots. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So that's the first database that is now filled with data. We're going to use Control-C to stop this server now, because we want to try the world server now. And let's see where it is. This one. I'm curious to see if we get any errors. If we do, I think it will have to have something to do with having to manually import the PlayerBots database first, but I'm not sure. Maybe it does it automatically. It's been a while since I've done this. Yeah, this is going to take some time. But as you can see, it's applying data now to the character database. So if we refresh that, we should actually already see some things in there. Yeah. Don't worry about this. This is not important. Nothing we have to look at. The only thing we had to do here was to adjust the realm name. You can actually close HideSQL from now on. You don't really need it anymore, unless you want to manually edit things in the database later on, but yeah, that's outside of the scope of this video. Database world is empty, auto-populating it. Yep, so that's good. It's at 13 megabytes now. I believe when it's done it's 450 or something, 450, maybe 500. So yeah, that's going to continue for a while, this. This is the last process that actually takes some time. I think I'll be fast forwarding, so I'll see you when this is done. So I've been monitoring, sorta, from one eye what was happening, and everything seemed to have gone well. Everything was imported, and it shouldn't take any much longer before our server is actually up and running. And all that is left to do then is create our first account for ourselves, a GM account, Game Master, and then we can get going. We can start playing our game. Mind you, one thing that you probably want to do is take a really good look at your PlayerBots configuration, because this holds so many variables that you can change to set the server more to your needs. If you make any changes to this configuration file, you will have to completely restart your server. Okay, so this is the file that we already saw earlier, where we entered the database details, but we didn't touch any other settings. So yeah, I like to go through this to see, to let you guys know what I prefer. Minimum amount of bots, I usually set it to 99. Maximum, maybe, this is not such a strong machine, so I'm going to set that to 300. I'm going to set that to 400. If there are no players logged in, I don't need any bots online, so I'm going to set this to 1. This means when I log in, then the bots start logging in. 40 is more than enough, so you can create a full raid. Let's see, what else? I don't want the bots to have any guilds. Obviously, you'll be better off just reading all these descriptions and making your own choices for each option. I don't want them to show a helmet. Looting, okay, timers, distances, thresholds, quest. I want the quests they have to sync with my quests, so we can do group quests together. The cheats, allow the maintenance command, yeah, because if you enter the maintenance command, all the bots will gather, for example, the materials they need to, I don't know, create portals or arrows to shoot arrows, you know, stuff like that. Also, they will autofill their talents and a lot of things. You just read through this, then you'll know. Flight path, okay, possession, no. General, let's see. Sync level with players, I'm going to enable that. This means if you log in and you are level 40, then the bots that will start logging in after you will also, many of them will also be around that same level. I want them to join looking for group, yes. You can enter the ratio here for the amount of alliance players and the amount of horde players. I don't like dead knights to log in, except my own dead knight, but no bots because they're overpowered. It's not fun to play against them in PvP, I can tell you. Yeah. Disable random levels, I'm going to leave that at 0. Gear. Sure. Activities. Yeah. Pre-made specs. Okay, I'll believe all this. Chat settings. I don't need them to suggest dungeons. Okay, so that's how I like to configure it. Let's see if the server has started up by now. And it has. Oh, it did already log in some bots because we now only changed the configuration, so we need to restart it before that becomes active. But for now, we're going to. Oh, there's a lot of more bots logging in. What I want to do is create our first account for ourselves. So just press enter, then account, create, and then my account name, Andre, and the password, my password, enter. Account created. Okay, then I'm going to set myself GM levels. So account, set GM level for Andre. I'm just going to keep on typing. I know that in the window it appears that my command is broken, but I'm going to set that to 3 and -1. 3 is the highest, which makes you a game master. And there's one last thing I want to do is allow my account to use up to Wrath of the Lich King expansion. So account set add-on of Andre to 2, which is Wrath of the Lich King. The first one obviously being the Burning Crusade. Okay. Now, since I made some changes to the PlayerBots configuration, I'm going to shut down the server now and restart it. Once it will allow me. Server shut down in 1 second. Okay. Yeah, it might take a while because I believe the default was set to 500, so it's logging out 500 bots right now, which is quite a lot. On the other hand, I did read some comments of people who run servers with like 5,000 bots. I wish I had the hardware for that to spare. On my VPS that I rent, where I have this running, I have 500 bots also, which is perfectly fine. It will ensure that you have nearly no queue times for battlegrounds and also for arenas, which is nice. And doing dungeons is also like an instant queue. Okay, so the next step will be to actually log on to our server using our World of Warcraft client on our other machine. But for this, of course, we need the authentication server to run with our adjusted IP address, which is this one. And this is actually the address that I will need to enter in my configuration of my WoW client. I can't show you right here because I don't have the client installed here, but what you need to do is open your World of Warcraft folder, so where World of Warcraft itself is stored, the Wrath of the Lich King client, obviously. I'll link a download URL in the documentation, and to add the realmlist.wtf file I'll show you in a bit. I think we're actually done recording from this window. I might as well stop recording and show what I'll do in my WoW client. So I'll just quickly start this one also, because these are the two that we need to actually use the server. So the authentication server is up and running, listing on the correct IP address, and this one is now starting up, which is hopefully going to take a lot shorter than before because the database is already filled. Shouldn't take too long. Yeah, while this is starting up still, I'll show you quickly what actually happened in the database when we created this account for ourselves. Under the authentication database, in accounts, we'll see all the accounts for the bots that the system automatically created. And that's my account. So yeah, once I log in, I get an empty character screen, of course. And I can start creating my characters, but I'll show you that in a second. It looks like it's almost up and running, so I can stop recording from this window. Just give it another second. This time it should not show that it's automatically logging in all sorts of bots, because we set the configuration to wait with this until we log in, or a player, a real person. Which makes sense, of course, because running bots does take resources of your server, so why have your server work hard for nothing when there's no actual real players enjoying it? So yeah, makes sense to set that option. Wow, okay, so that took quite a while. I think that was just one time actually. If I would stop the server now and restart it, it would be a lot faster. But this completes the tutorial on this screen. As you can see, the server is running, so I'm going to now open the WoW client and continue from there. The next very important step is to set our realm IP address in our realmlist.wtf file. Yeah, so this is my World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King client folder with wow.exe, and then we go to data folder and then this and realmlist.wtf. Open this up with a text editor like Edit Plus, for example, and set realm list, leave that as is, and change the address to the IP address that your server is currently running on, whether that's local or over the internet. Save the file, close it, and then you can actually start the game. Just going to log in with the password I set earlier. And there we have it. We're logged in and we can create our first character, which will be, I don't know. I think we've all seen that intro enough times, right? And there we are. And it shouldn't take too long before other bots start to log in, and we'll see some other level 1s here. In the meantime, oh, here they come. You see them logging in on the background? I don't know where they're going, but did they pick up the quest? I don't know. Oh, let's see what we got. We got a druid, another druid. Let's add a hunter. And why not another rogue? You're already on that quest. Oh, that was weird. Anyways, now you can start playing the game with your bots. And this is just no, that one got pulled. This is what you can do on level 1, but obviously since we are a game master, we can easily tweak the game and get to level 80 fast, give ourselves some gear and join some battlegrounds or arenas or do some dungeons together and even some raids. I believe that the command maintenance will allow your bots, oh, or it doesn't. Then it was maybe PlayerBots maintenance. Let's see what it says. Oh, I thought we enabled this in the configuration. Probably mistaken. Well, anyways, normally when you use the maintenance command, your bots will auto gear and stuff. So when they're higher level, they will automatically get better gear, and all that is also configurable through the config file. So yeah, have fun. That, I believe, completes this tutorial, and I hope it was useful to you. I hope you can get your own server to work so you can have some fun with the player bots. And don't forget to like this video, by the way. Very important, because that really helps me. And perhaps subscribe. Thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye bye.